Whether the 2016 field wanted a new culture war or not, they have got one. With a growing roster of businesses coming out against so-called religious liberty measures in Indiana and Arkansas, the Republican governors of those states are taking small steps back, which puts certain 2016 hopefuls in an awkward spot. Now that they have declared their support for such laws, folks like Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, Bobby Jindal, Rick Perry, and Marco Rubio find themselves going against not only public opinion, but also the likes of Walmart, The Gap, Yelp, and Apple. And while Ted Cruz may trumpet his stance during his first visit to Iowa as a candidate this afternoon, for Jeb Bush, it is awkward as he courts big money from Bay Area tech companies this week, starting with a luncheon at the Four Seasons Palo Alto today. Note to Jeb, this might be a good time to declare April Fools. Joining me now is former RNC Chair Michael Steele and Washington Bureau Chief for BuzzFeed News, John Stanton. So, Chairman Steele, here's what I don't understand. If you are Jeb Bush's campaign strategist, presuming he runs, why send the governor out with a statement of support for the Indiana law so early in the game? Why not just at least wait to see how it all shakes out through the middle or the end of this week?
Well, you know, you like to think because this is a principled position that the governor wants to take, as I think you could say for a number, if not all of those Republicans who've come out and spoken on this. They didn't want to sit back and do the political calculation with the thumb in the air to figure out which way the wind was blowing. That's part of it. I think the other part of it is the dynamics of a potentially large Republican field for the nomination kicking off next week, who already has with Cruz, but certainly you'll have others jumping in the next few weeks. So I think all of that kind of moved or forced the hand of the governor. He took a measured position. It wasn't something that you could swing wildly one way or the other. He really tried to find that strike zone down the middle as much as he could. And I think that was the safest play for him, knowing also, Alex, that he was going to be heading out to the West Coast to raise money, which, again, for all their beating of the breast, these businesses are not going to throw Jeb Bush under the bus for this. Trust me. Well,
but I guess, John, how awkward do you think it is that you have Yelp, Twitter, Foursquare, Apple, obviously, coming out against this Indiana law, and Jeb Bush is now sort of in their backyard with his hat in his hand asking for donations?
Yeah, I'm sure he did not want to have to talk about this with them at this luncheon, but I think Michael's right that this is not a situation where any of these corporations are going to say, well, because of this issue, we're not going to give Jeb Bush money. It makes it a little difficult for him, but, they still, on so many issues, he and the business community are very much in lockstep, even the high-tech industry. And so I think he's still going to be able to get money from them. And, frankly, for his purposes, in early states where, the electorate and the Republican side is going to be older evangelical voters, this is very much a thing that they believe in, and it will work well for the governor and for anybody else that is in the primaries at that point.
Michael, someone on our show yesterday suggested that one of the reasons, beyond the perhaps principal's position that the former Governor Bush was taking, this was also an attempt to sort of prove his conservative bona fides, because there is skepticism among certain corners of the right-wing base that he's not one of them. Do you think that at all factored into it?
I think there's some validity to that. I think, I think there are a lot of presumptions that are made about these candidates, how conservative they are or how liberal or moderate they are. Based on some very, light stuff. When you look at the substance of who these people are and what they've stood for long before moments like this, I think you get a better sense of, why they stand in the square the way they do at this moment. So, yeah, I think that there is some degree of that that does come into play when you look at it. But I just don't, again, I think on an issue like this, that it is born into the fabric of the GOP that this religious liberty and all liberties should be protected. That this is an easy one for a lot of these candidates, and my friends on the left will jump up and down, but I think they're not bothered by that.
I take issue with the easiness, because I feel like, yes, the issue, this has become conflated with a question about where they stand on issues of gay rights and gay marriage. However, rightfully or wrongfully, it is a question that is going to be asked of all of these guys.
Alex, you're asking a question you already know the answer to. Where these gentlemen are and Carly Fiorina is on this issue of gay marriage is not a secret to anybody in this country, certainly not within the GOP. So I don't know why there's a question to be asked there, because there is no there on that subject.
Or there it is more like
there
it, right?
is.
But John, I mean, okay, so that's within the Republican Party. I guess I wonder, Stanton, how much you think that that's an issue in a national race?
Well, I mean, no one's ever lost a presidential campaign on the question of marriage equality or LGBT rights. So, I mean, I think that's an open question. And on the culture war, sort of more broadly, you know, they do have an example of someone who was able to successfully sort of skew conservative in a primary-ish and then find a way to not do it. And that's, you know, George Bush. He was able to get into the general election and bring himself back sort of towards the middle and put that stuff aside so that culture war issues never really impacted him that much in 2000. And that is, I think, most of the Republicans are probably looking at that and saying, that's what I want to do if I get the nomination. So.
Michael, this has also happened in a week when we have found out that Hillary Clinton scrubbed her server clean after her records were requested. This has taken up a lot of the airtime and media vacuum space.
And she's happy for that.
Well, yes, I think indeed. And I guess I wonder which is a bigger issue going into 2016, the questions that Republicans are going to have to answer on the issue of gay marriage nationally, not within their party, or Hillary Clinton talking about her emails.
I think for both partisan perspectives, both those issues will play together. The right is going to hit the Hillary email issue, and the left is going to, you know, raise the social issues. I think in terms of the public that's kind of sandwiched in the middle of that. I think the email issue is going to probably register a little bit more because it speaks to a level of character. You know, you can have
some people would argue that your position
I can object to. I can have a moral reason why I do not support a particular issue. But when I'm hiding public documents and I'm not being forthright about that, that's a very different conversation for the American people.
It also plays into a problem that she has, which is that people do look at the Clintons and sort of have this notion that they hide things, that they're not always honest with the public.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got sort of other things going on behind the scenes. And
but people also have a notion the Republican Party is intolerant.
Well, there is certainly some of that as well. But I think for her that is a very front and center issue for her. You know, and again, in a national election, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure which one is the bigger one right now.
And then, Alex, you said the Republican Party is intolerant. That's the Democratic nominee.
That is true.
So you've got, you know, whoever emerges as the eventual nominee could very easily deal with that issue about intolerance.
Former RNC Chair Michael Steele and BuzzFeed News' John Stanton. Thank you, guys. Always good to see you.
You got it.